Texas Motor Speedway. We saw last year that Texas Motor Speedway did not do well with the Gen 6 car.
No.
The Gen 7 car gave optimism, especially at 1.5 tracks this year with Kansas and all these 1.5 tracks, Las Vegas, Atlanta, that we might see something different. Short track is struggling, but the 1.5 racing has become exponentially better than it has been in years past. Is Texas in trouble of losing a entire, just not having a race at all? Because everybody thought, including myself, I'm sure everybody else out there was looking at this All-Star race thinking this is going to be a good test to see what we're going to expect in Texas for the playoffs and later on in the season.
Right.
It failed miserably. And Texas is now hated again by fans.
Yeah, so it was hated since last year with the All-Star race. Now, do I think that they're in general, and do I think that they could possibly lose racing in general? No, not at all. Maybe just having one date. Because we saw last year, I thought last year the race was bad. I think Charlie said something about he thought the All-Star, unless it was a regular Texas race, I can't remember. I think he said the All-Star race was pretty good. It had passing. But, I saw people on social media this time around. Granted, I think Jeff Gluck put out a poll where he said, do you think the race was good? And 10% of people said, yeah. And he had a lot of votes on it.
And those 10% of people might have been Ryan Blaney fans. Let's be
real.
Let's just be
I
real
did
with
see
that.
some people talk about how, I thought the race wasn't that bad. There was passing going on, in the midfield. That's great and all for a points paying race. But guess what? This is the All-Star race where the only thing we're focusing on is who's going to win. If nobody's passing for the lead, who cares about what's happening in the midfield?
Right. And with that, and the midfield pack was good racing.
Yeah,
but we saw typical, we saw 550 horsepower racing there, where the driver out front had the clean air and he took off. Ryan Blaney, before Kyle Busch wrecked out, he was dominating. He was the car to beat. He wrecked out. When Ryan Blaney took that lead, he didn't give it up. He was gone.
Yeah, gone.
He was gone. And that was the biggest fear with people coming back to Texas. Are we going to see the same racing? And we did. Although be it a All-Star race, we saw the same racing that we saw in years past.
Yes.
Which is not good for Texas.
No, it's not.
And that scares me.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of other tracks. North Wilkesboro could be a perfect candidate for an All-Star race. Charlie brought up last weekend, the LA Coliseum could have been a perfect All-Star race venue, because you need an exhibition race to bring fans in. I feel Caroline's first race was an exhibition race because it's not 500 miles, but it's exciting racing. And the race we saw there at Charlotte when Tony Stewart won was a beautiful race. It was a great race. The LA Coliseum this year when Joey Logano won was a fun race, beating and banging, put the cars through their paces. The All-Star race, the exhibition race in Texas, I feel bad for people burning fuel to get there and paying who knows how much to sit there and watch. Unless you were a Ryan Blaney fan,
right? Ryan
Blaney just lead the field,
right? And while I was watching this race and determining that I thought it was very lame, I'm gonna move into the last segment that they had. So the last segment was 50 laps.
Yeah, it was 50 laps, and there was going to be a caution unless there was a generic caution. And
this is where things really upset me.
I mean, I'm scraping off the scab there, man.
Yeah, this is where things really upset me. So I had forgotten what some of the rules were for this, because I had to miss a little bit here and there. I got back.
Well, you obviously didn't listen to last week's episode.
No, I didn't, but I had forgotten the rules in general because I just could care less, because NASCAR just seems to make a bunch of bull crap up half the time. Boy, it's a good thing I'm not cursing right now, because I'd be letting it have it right now. I know that they like to make a lot of things up these days. It kind of reminds me of how Michael Massey was running F1 last year, but kind of on the fly sometimes.
Yeah, that could be in debate though, because the final race of the season was a very good race there. For me, it was.
So as I'm sitting there, and I'm listening, and Mike Joy is on the broadcast saying, yeah, we're going to have a competition caution in the middle of this segment. And I'm like, why do we need to have a competition caution for? And then I'm thinking to myself, oh, I get it. NASCAR knows something. NASCAR knows that how boring this is going to be, probably. We're going to throw a competition caution in the middle of it because we think we're going to re-rack things up, as Clint Boyer likes to call it. We're going to re-rack them boys up. Shut up. Go sit down somewhere with that crap. I had to hear Clint Boyer the entire time during qualifying go, well, business is about to pick up. And I'm like, what business is about to pick up? Because I don't see anything picking up yet. And nothing did pick up. They bullcrapped the first 2 rounds of qualifying. And they were way off. You know, the girl out there with the poster board saying 10 seconds, and then the light would go off in 5.
You mean the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders?
Yeah, whatever.
By far, the best part of the qualifying right there was the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
So, anyways, back to the final segment, because that was I forgot to touch on that during the qualifying and how awful it was for the first few segments. Like, somebody didn't even go because they were just caught off guard. And I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't have gone either. If the other car's already in their pit stall and they're changing tires, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get out of the car now. Like, you boys don't even need to change the tires. We're done. You know, there's no point in this. So then Eric Jones crashes like 5 laps before the competition caution.
Right.
And you hear Mike Joy. Well, this will be substituted for our competition caution. And then Clint Boyer goes, you know what? This is how it seems to always come along. We get these long green flag runs, and then somehow we get a wreck right before the competition caution. I was like, long green flag runs? We ran like 20 laps in the green. You call that a long green flag run? Boy, the audience that they must be talking to obviously must be having some kind of like ADD they can't pay attention to half the time. And I guess that's telling me right there that NASCAR is going after a whole different audience. If they're talking about on the broadcast, oh, that was a long green flag run. 20 laps was long? Who are we trying to appeal to these days? Is it to people that are on their phones the whole time that think, oh, 20 laps, oh, this is boring. I guess I can get on my phone now. What happened to the real race fans? You know?
Boy, Preston is really pissed
I
out.
was just like, why are we even comparing a long green flag run to 20 laps? Now I can maybe because this has been a boring as hell race.
Right.
So, you know, and then Clint Boyer says, oh, we can re-rack these boys back up. I'm like, what are we gonna what's gonna be exciting about this restart? Guess what? Restart happens, and guess where Ryan Blaney went? Psh, to the front. Gone.
Yeah, gone.
And then well, here comes Denny Hamlin. He's making the pass for second. And guess what? He never showed up.
Oh,
he never showed up in our screens. He was like 3 seconds back. And everybody else was closer together, but from first to second was like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Hello? Hey, race fans, like what you just saw, be sure to hit that like button at the bottom and hit that notification bell as well for any upcoming live episodes. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to Ramblin' About Racin's YouTube channel. There you can go back and watch previous episodes, even back when we used to be called In the Marbles. Check us out.